Good morning. Happy Wednesday. What a chaotic morning it has been. Uh, a long night of Yankee baseball. But welcome, everybody. This is the Pitch Right Chronicles. This is where fans become family. I'm Uncle Tats. I'm here with Donald and Rob. And let me tell you something. I am so sick of this extra inning incompetence. Anytime the Yankees go into extra innings, the win percentage probably goes into the single digits. It's almost impossible for these Yankees to win extra innings. It's insane. Even with the Manfred rule to speed things up, it just seems like they never can, especially when they're the home team. Forget it. When they're the home team, I think their win percentage is probably 2% because they can never figure out, because everybody's swinging to get that pit. They're not playing for the long game. They're not playing small ball for the win and move the runner over. It's very easy. Bunt the runner over, sack fly, get him in, game over. It's really, that's the way this whole thing was designed with Manfred's rules. And end the game as fast, as quick as possible. And this team is just, they're so incompetent, it's so frustrating. The defense was a complete disaster yesterday. I think the defense was worse than the offense because you couldn't get any runs going. But it's good to be back. I appreciate everybody that hung out with Donald in the chat on Monday. Do want to point that out. Donald manning the stream for everybody. Make sure that you guys have something to listen to and vent with after the weekend. And big shout out to NFE and Mazda for hanging out with Donald as well. It's always good to see the family coming together and making sure that you guys get the best content that you can. So if you do enjoy the content we're putting out, hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with everybody that you know, everybody you don't know. You see somebody in the store with a Yankee cap on, tell them about the Pitch Right Chronicles. Tell them to come on over. But, Rob, I want to throw it to you first. How frustrating is a loss like yesterday?
My biggest issue is they're not putting their best team on the field.
Yeah.
Austin Wells should be starting as much as possible. Oswaldo Cabrera should be starting as much as possible, and so should Peraza. And I was on NFE's show on Sunday afternoon, and I said there's a way to get all of them in the lineup and not have to bench. Like, you don't even have to bench Torres if you really don't want to. But why can't Cabrera play first base? Why does DJ LeMahieu have to be out there every time we face a lefty? Why does Trevino have to start against lefties? Why can't Austin Wells start against lefties? Austin Wells is your third best hitter right now. Right there, I mean, not right there, but obviously it's Judge and Soto. There's no question they're in another stratosphere. And then you're looking at Wells and Stanton. And then, it's Volpe, Torres. That's your pecking order. Why is Austin Wells sitting? The guy's been tearing the cover off the ball. He's been calling a phenomenal game behind the plate. And yet, they're constantly putting these other guys in that aren't producing enough to be playing every day. Why is LeMahieu out there? Why is Trevino out there? The late decision-making to have DJ with the big spot, 2 on, 1 out. What do you think he's going to do? Double play. You could have bet your house on it. I would have, actually. If I had a house, I would have bet my fucking house on it. The guy was going to hit a double play. And he did. The next inning, he takes out Peraza for Cabrera when Peraza had a hit. These decisions don't make sense. DJ LeMahieu hasn't been able to hit water. He wouldn't be able to hit water if he fell off a boat. And he's still getting big spot after big spot. He's getting start after start against left-handed pitching, and it doesn't make sense. He's not hitting lefties. Trevino's not hitting lefties. You're right, Egyptian magician. They're not hitting lefties in general, and yet they're just continuously putting the worst team on the field, and then the excuses after the game. DJ LeMahieu is grinding. We got to grind through things. No, you don't. He's 36 years old. He's well past his prime. He's been injured the last 3 years. It's time to move on. Cabrera should be getting his at-bats at first, or Ben Rice. Pick your poison, if you want to call it that. Pick either or. You can put an infield of Cabrera, Torres, or Rice, Peraza, Volpe, Cabrera. That could be your infield if you really want to. Torres provides you nothing. Trevino provides you nothing. LeMahieu provides you nothing. Verdugo provides you nothing. You can put Cabrera in left field if you really wanted to, just to get his bat out there. These guys are not producing, and they're playing them every single day. They're not putting their best team on the field. The lineup last night was not the best lineup they could be putting out there, and they're treating Matthew Boyd like he's Randy Johnson. It's Matthew Boyd. This is not a guy that you should be really afraid of, and yet they're benching left-handed bats because we need more righties. DJ LeMahieu sucks. Jose Trevino's not a good bat. He's a good glove. He's not a good bat. And this is what we're going with. Like, we're sitting guys like Cabrera, who's been hot. We're pinch hitting for Peraza, who's done nothing but hit since they called him up. This is what we're doing. These decision make these are the things that infuriate me more. Not a quote by Aaron Boone in a podcast when he defends his players. I don't really care about that stuff. It's what he said at the end of that quote that really ticked me off. But the whole when you manage the team, whatever. But his decision making is what pisses me off. Why are you not? You're gonna let Volpe play every day? Great. Let him play. I'm fine with that. But why aren't you doing the same for Wells? Why aren't you doing the same for Peraza? Why aren't you doing the same for Cabrera? These guys could be part of your future. DJ LeMahieu should be gone today. Verdugo should have been gone yesterday. And Torres should have been gone 2 years ago. This is what we're dealing with. And it's frustrating because I know this team is better. I know this team can be better. They're not putting their best team on the field. That is my issue, and it starts with the manager. This is why we have so much to pick apart about this guy, because one day he'll make a great decision, and then the next day he's doing this crap where he's playing his worst possible team. Like, it's frustrating. It's really annoying, and it makes you just angry watching them because they should have been able to win that game yesterday. They should have been able to beat the Tigers, and they couldn't beat the Tigers. It's annoying because we're going to have to probably see Cleveland in the playoffs. More than likely, we'll see them in the postseason. And this is the kind of performance you're putting together. We actually wasted a good bullpen performance from guys like Leiter and Holmes. They both looked really good last night, and we wasted it. Cousins looks fantastic, and we're wasting it. These are the things that frustrate me, and it starts with the decision-making from the manager.
Yeah, it's. I want to throw it to Donovan in a second, but when Holmes had that 1-2-3 inning, my reaction to that whole, I'm like, holy shit, you know what? We're gonna win this game. Like, that actually gave me confidence that we were actually the bats were gonna pick up the pitching. Boy, was I freaking wrong. But you know, it every time I feel confident about this team, they crush my dreams. I'm tired of it. Donald, how'd you feel?
Well, I actually never thought the Yankees were going to win that game. As soon as the Guardians tied the game at 3, I said this game is over. In fact, when they went ahead, I thought the game was over. And when I saw each and every at bat, I thought it was just ridiculous because Aaron Boone's decisions don't make sense. There is no common sense behind these decisions. So look at these numbers. Who did he have in the middle of his lineup against lefties? He had Verdugo, who is 0 for 12. In his last 7 games, he has a 138 slug. His OBP is 176. That's who you have batting 5th. That doesn't make sense. There isn't so if you're saying that he is an analytics guy and he's just doing what the numbers are telling him, there's not a number in earth that justifies that. Verdugo is on base about 10% of the time. A 176 OBP, it means he's on base 17% of the time. What is he doing in fifth? That's just because you're playing favorites. That's not playing to win, that's playing favorites. Right? Trevino, he's batting 208 versus lefties. 208. There isn't a stat on earth that justifies him batting right after Verdugo. There isn't a stat on earth to justify that. And then after him, it's Anthony Volpe. And Anthony Volpe has a 169 batting average and a 234 OBP and a 271 slug over his last 15 games. So, if you're looking at this straight up, right, this isn't a meritocracy. This is not a meritocracy. He's playing favorites. Why is Anthony Volpe batting in the middle of the order with a 169 batting average over his last 15 games? I mean, there's nothing to justify that. You're just playing your favorites. So stop trying to gaslight us that you're putting your best foot forward. You're not putting your best foot forward. Look at Austin Wells. Austin Wells, over his last 30 games, has a slug, 524 slug, a 400 OBP, and a 311 batting average with 5 home runs and 20 RBIs over his last 30 games. That pisses all over everyone that I just mentioned. Pisses all over them. And have we seen Austin Wells 4 of the last 5 days? Have we shit? He's not playing to win. He's playing his favorites. Another thing. Aaron Boone said last week, when Trevino's back, we're still going to give the majority of the playing time to Wells. Fast forward a couple of days, he says on John Boy, it's a soft platoon now. What's changed? You're lying. So he's either lying or he doesn't stick to his convictions, he doesn't stick to his plans, or he doesn't have a plan. Because those are the only options. Because if you say a couple of days ago, and Trevino's done shit offensively, done nothing offensively since coming back, so there's nothing that he's done to justify this soft platoon, right? So a couple of days ago, he says, Wells is going to get the majority of the playing time. A couple of days later, oh, it's a soft platoon, right? But then also, he says to Meredith Marakovic, oh no, we're still planning on having Austin Wells play the majority of the games. But he also says in the same day to John Boy Media, it's a platoon. We like Trevino versus lefties. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Stick to your convictions. I don't care what your convictions are, but stick to it. But this is all over the place. And this is why we're looking at this hodgepodge lineup of bullshit. And the thing about Aaron Boone is he gets incredibly defensive over just normal questions. I mean, if I asked him these things, if I gave him these stats, he'd just start yelling and calling us all idiots. I mean, this is an organization that's run by analytics, okay? So I'm playing by their rules. I'm giving them the analytics, okay? I'm giving them the analytics right now. Those are the stats, right? But if I was to give those analytics to the Yankees right now, I'd be called an idiot. I'd be called a moron, right? Because you cannot question the New York Yankees because they are all...
When you run the team, you can make those decisions, Donald.
Exactly.
When you run the team.
What he said to John Boy Media. He's friends with John Boy and all that stuff. Doesn't seem like it. Oh, when you run the team, you can make that call. Do you know what that means? That means that he got rattled, and that means that he got hit with some facts, and he
didn't like it
to defend Brian Cashman. I don't even think it's, as Anthony Garcia says earlier in the chat, I don't think it's all necessarily about defending the players, just to defend Brian Cashman. Because a lot of these are Brian Cashman's guys. So he's just defending Brian Cashman's guys. And the best example is DJ LeMahieu. And I've left him last for this particular segment, because last but not least, because he's the biggest culprit of this Yankee favoritism, right?
Yeah.
This Yankee favoritism of nonsense. DJ LeMahieu has a 48 weighted runs created plus. 48. His OPS of 512 is the third worst in all of baseball among qualified candidates. With his amount of at-bats, he's got the third worst OPS in baseball. And he plays every single day. He hasn't hit in all of July. He's the last 30 games, he's got a 167 batting average. He's got a 189 batting average for his season. These are the stats. So I'm just giving the Yankees the stats, right?
Can I cut you off for a second, Donald? Because I can make it worse if you want me to. These are from Brooksgate. There's 314 players with 200 plate appearances this season. DJ LeMahieu is 307th in batting average, like you just mentioned, his 189. 311th in slugging. 310th in weighted runs created plus, which you mentioned is 48. League average is 100. He's 308th in ISO, which means he has no power at all. It's a .59. 308th in ground ball percentage, his best trait. And his launch angle, 1.6 degrees, 311th. He is literally, like they say in the show Parks and Recreation, literally one of the worst players in baseball. And he is playing every day.
And if you want to, if he even wants to justify it defensively, his defense was horrible yesterday. His defense was the reason why we lost the game. He didn't even tag first base. When he was literally about 6 centimeters from first base, he didn't tag the frickin' base. It would have been an easy double play. He didn't do it because he's not thinking. He's completely cooked. He is completely cooked as a professional baseball player. And it hurts me to say it because I really like the guy. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a fantastic player, but he is now officially cooked. And the Yankees are lying to themselves, lying to him, and lying to us that he's still a productive player. He isn't. But there is no accountability. He just plays his favorites, and that's it. Whether you like it or not, he plays his favorites. DJ LeMahieu is in his circle of trust for no reason. His numbers are worse than Josh Donaldson's numbers when he got cut. His numbers are worse than Aaron Hicks' numbers when he got cut. And I've gotten awards especially for Aaron Hicks because he's that much of an asshole. But yet, DJ LeMahieu's numbers are worse than Aaron Hicks.
Wait, are you hinting at a renaming of the award?
No! What I'm saying is it's bullshit. It just shows us a comparison that the Yankees are all over the place with their decision making. You cannot send out a lineup like that with a middle of your order where nobody hits for league average. Not even hit for league average. How about hit about 40 points below league average? Because that's what we're looking at here with Dugo, Trevino, Volpe, DJ LeMahieu, all of them, not just below average bats, they are massively below average bats. And you can't have that in the middle of your order. What are you expecting? No wonder Juan Soto was staring out of the dugout after that loss. You could see how freaking furious he was. Because he was thinking, this is a freaking slog. I'm having a career year. Aaron Judge is having an insane year. And then the rest of this team is complete slop. And my manager is just chewing bubbles and defending all this. I mean, I highly doubt that Juan Soto is loving this freaking situation around him. I think he loves playing with Aaron Judge, and I think he loves winning the pinstripes. But I think he's looking at this roster, and he knows that this is a fucking slog fest because he knows baseball, and every Yankee fan who knows baseball knows that this is a slog fest. None of this makes sense. What I just read out to you, none of it is justifiable. None of that is acceptable. And this is the New York Yankees.
And then there's the fundamental stuff, because Norman brought it up earlier and just a couple of minutes ago in the chat. Rojas putting up the stop sign, then telling Trent Grisham to go. That cost us the game. So, like these are things that we're getting from our coaches. And I go back to the lineup stuff. Why are we not putting our best lineup? There's no reason that Wells should be sitting every day for Trevino. There's no reason LeMahieu should be playing every day. Your best lineup does not feature those guys. Your best lineup features Volpe at the bottom of the order, not in the middle. Because if you want to use numbers, here's other numbers. His best stats this year come when he's batting 7th or 9th. Yet where did he bat last night? 7th, right? Was bottom of the order? That's one thing they finally did, right? But it didn't work.
He was batting 6th, wasn't he?
He was batting 7th. But put him at the bottom of the order, just where he was hitting, because he did that earlier in the year. And I said, don't move him from there. And it fucked him up. There's still plenty. I think there's still a lot. I don't want to put too much of this on Volpe. He's 23 years old. There's still so much he can do better. He actually has been better in the second half of the season. I don't want to get too much on Volpe. But Trevino and LeMahieu, they don't bring you anything. Verdugo doesn't bring you anything. I mean, what are we doing here? This is a playoff chase. This is a pennant race. This is a team that wants to win a World Series, and most of our lineup is below league average. And we're going to have people picking at Stanton, even though, again, he is what he is. He's streaky. We know that. Your best lineup is somebody, I don't know who, at the leadoff spot. And then you've got Soto, Judge, Wells, Stanton. You can put Torres, Cabrera. Volpe has to be batting 9th. Put him in the 9th spot. It's where he's the most comfortable. You can have Peraza bat 8th. You can have Cabrera in front of him. But for the love of God, stop using DJ LeMahieu. Stop using Alex Verdugo. Bat Torres leadoff. He seems to be somewhat more competent there than he does at the middle of the order. If you want to stick him there, fine. But I texted you last night, Donald. They could cut Verdugo tonight, and nobody would miss him.
No.
And it's crazy because a couple of months ago there was that talk, should they extend him? And that's why I didn't want to put that out there, because we did the same thing with Bader. He doesn't bring you anything. His defense has dropped off, his hustle has dropped off, and his offense has tremendously dropped off. You wouldn't miss him. And it's a shame because
his allergies are freaking strong.
Yeah. His allergies, he can't wear gloves, his tattoos, he's got 100 of them, and he's allergic to them. I don't know. Nothing makes sense with this team. And it's a joke right now. But here's the crazy thing is we keep saying this. They're still they still have one of the best records. This is why I'm so mad.
It's crazy.
They have one of the best records. They're 20 games over 500. They could easily go and win the division because Baltimore doesn't want to seize it. And yet, we got to complain about this stuff in late August. This is not like we're in May and we're like, okay, we got a few months to correct this stuff. This is August 21st, and on August 20th, we watched this team look like a team that was still figuring it out. That shouldn't be happening. That's why I'm so mad, because I know this team is better, and I would much rather watch the likes of Cabrera and Peraza and Wells and even Dominguez play every day and learn as they go, and that includes Anthony Volpe. Let you learn what you have in the future, because Verdugo's not part of your future. Grisham might not be part of your future past this year. LeMahieu should not be part of your future. Shouldn't be part of your present. And Trevino shouldn't either. Learn what you have now and in the future, and that could entice Soto to be like, okay, there's something here. Because right now, this team could be a first-round exit. I don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs. A lot can happen between now and October. But if they're a first-round exit, why would Juan Soto be like, I want to stay? This whole season is about trying to win and also trying to make sure Soto doesn't leave. Right. Because if he leaves, we're fucked. Because Judge can't do it by himself.
Yeah, anything short of an ALCS, Soto is gone.
But that's why I don't really care about our record, right? Okay, hey, we could win the division if the Orioles continue to implode, right? There's still a chance. Fine. As in the current juncture, we're a wild card team and we'll play the Twins, right? I'd say we probably beat the Twins. We always beat the Twins, right? Even at our worst, we tend to beat the Twins. So we could still win that first round. But I'll be honest with you guys. Look at what we're doing right now. This is August and we're playing bad fundamentals. We can't hit the runners in scoring position. We can't field our position. We throw to the wrong base. We can't run the bases. We don't hit with runners in scoring position. We can't move the runners. We don't have a closer. We don't know who our leadoff hitter is. And we basically throw shit at a dartboard and see what sticks. Is basically their plan with the batting lineup. Yep. They have no idea what they're doing. And that is why this team isn't going to do shit in October. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you guys otherwise, but I don't see them doing shit in October. Yeah, they might win the first round, but this is the same shit that's been going on since 2018, and it's every single year, and they never make any changes. They always play their favorites. Their stats that they're parading out there don't make sense. I just gave the fucking stats. Rob gave the fucking stats. They don't make sense. There's nothing to justify his decisions right now. And that's why I don't think this team's going to do shit in October. Clay Holmes, he can't be the
rely on him.
He can't be a closer. He can't. He's not a closer. He's got 10 blown saves, right?
Like, Donald, guys, when did he have his best inning? Right, his best inning was last night. It was a tie game. There was no save situation. If he's put in a save situation, he crumbles. He struggles. Yes. 7 times out of 10, he's gonna. I think they said he has a 70% save rate.
Yeah,
for his
30% of the time he blows it,
which is respectable.
No, you're looking at 30% of the time he blows saves.
Hold on, but when you're watching him in that 30% that he fails, he looks like he doesn't belong to put on a uniform. That's the problem. It's not like it's just, that 30% is just bad luck or just facing a team that just, scribbed out a couple, right? Yes, some of his blown saves are on the defense. But that's where it all ties into Boone not putting the best players in their position and Cashman not capitalizing on putting
Juan
a
Soto.
team out where they can capitalize on strength. If you have, I've said this over and over again till I'm blue in the face. You have ground ball pitching in your bullpen,
Yeah.
but you put out subpar defense in the infield.
Yes.
What the fuck do you expect? Yeah, you're going to lose games that way. I'm sorry, it's going to happen. Look, Cabrera and Volpe made some great plays yesterday. They also had a couple of plays where you're like, they should have made that, but they didn't. But hey, that's baseball, Susan. And I will say on a little side note, it was very relieving, very satisfying to hear John Sterling on the radio for a couple of hours. I missed him. I really do.
I'll tell you what, I really liked him on the Yes Network because he was.
I watched
he
the
didn't have
playback.
any,
He was very good with them.
he didn't have anybody to answer to, so he was just telling the truth. He's like,
They suck.
our guys don't throw strikes. We can't hit. The only two guys in the team that can hit are Soto and Judge. He says no one else can seem to do anything. He seemed pretty freaking calm.
Yep.
Pretty
But
critical.
can we take a second to point the blame at Rojas for a few? I'm sure we would love to tear him a new asshole after he screwed us up yesterday with his stop and go with Grisham.
At first,
He gives Grisham the red light, so he slows up and then tells him go 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 go, and you expect Grisham to regain his momentum. You already had him putting the brakes on. Just keep him at third. You already had him slowing down.
You're right.
That's why you got fired as the manager of the Mets, because you're that fucking terrible at coaching.
You're right. He had his hands up like that because it means stall.
And then
So the Grisham was like, "What the fuck? What am I doing here?" But the thing is, it's worse because Grisham is slow. He's not a good base runner, so it's really odd that he's your pinch runner extraordinaire. He's not a good base runner. He's slow. He had a really bad lead, but still he would have scored had Rojas not fucked him about.
Yeah,
so
it's not like you're dealing with a Peraza, Cabrera, Volpe, where they could turn on the Jets like that.
Exactly.
You're dealing with Grisham, and not look Grisham. His fielding speed is different than base running speed. I think that's something people forget. He can run down a ball no problem, but running the bases when you're making a turn like that, anybody that's played the game that knows that it's not easy running at full speed around those bases. It's really not. Why do you think we see Stanton get hurt so often on the bases? It's you have to hit that bag at a certain angle to maintain that speed. It's an art form. Base running is an art, just like hitting, defense, pitching.
And it's obviously not practice.
We're going to get to heal in a couple of minutes because I do want to get into heal.
It's obviously not practice, Tats. I don't think.
No, but that's exactly.
Is Aaron Boone not doing these drills? Because we saw it all yesterday. That's why this Yankee team will not win a World Series this year. Sorry, guys. If it happens, great. I'd be absolutely shocked because, to be honest,
I think they have much of it.
Fundamentals. You can't do it without any fundamentals. They don't have fundamentals. They don't run the bases properly. They don't know how to run the bases, and they don't know how to field their positions. And yeah, there's a couple of good defensive players, fine. But in terms of throwing to the right base, in certain situations, knowing which base that you need to throw to, knowing which base you need to cover, in certain situations, basic shit. They don't know how to do it. They don't do it, which means that Aaron Boone isn't communicating that to them in spring training or on a weekly basis. It doesn't happen because we haven't seen it since 2018. This team doesn't know how to do the basics. They don't. They don't know how to run the bases. They don't know how to cover bases. They don't know how to communicate with certain pop-ups. It's all over the place. It's just like, it's all over the place. We saw that between Cabrera and Verdugo with that pop-up. The drop right between the two of them. How many times has that happened this year? Numerous times. There is zero communication. Zero communication. And all those ridiculous mistakes that DJ LeMahieu made yesterday, that's just no communication and no thinking as to what's going on in certain situations. That's what the problem is. So yeah, you've now got Rojas who doesn't know how to to coach third base. That he's waving them and then stopping them and then waving them. I mean, it's terrible, especially with somebody who's as slow a runner as Grisham.
Yeah, it's. Do I still believe this team can make a World Series run? Absolutely.
I don't.
As we saw what they were in the beginning of the year. We saw what they were in the summer, where it looked like they didn't even belong on a base. The White Sox looked better than them, even though they still had worse numbers. But there's nothing to say that they can't go on that run again.
I disagree, man. I don't see it. I think they'll win the first round. I think if they played the Twins, they'd win. But when they face organizations,
what team in baseball right now is so overly dominant that they're unbeatable?
None, right? The Yankees should be making a World Series. They should. Look at their team. They should. But the thing is, you look at whenever they face, and it's pretty obvious, every time they face a team that is well managed, and that includes the Red Sox, even the Mets, whenever they face a team that's well managed, that have a plan, the Yankees collapse. What was the Mets' plan when they faced the Yankees? They shifted it around so they sent out all their lefty starters, and the Yankees lost every single game because they can't hit lefties. That's why this team's not going to do shit in October, because they can't hit lefties. Right? Face the Tigers. Tigers are well managed. They have the best lefty frickin' pitcher in the world right now in Skubal. The Yankees were toast. When the Red Sox, whenever they face Alex Cora, Aaron Boone turns into a little boy. He's scared because Alex Cora manages the piss out of him. Let's be honest. Manages rings around him. And they're doing that. I've mentioned the Tigers. I've mentioned the Red Sox. I've mentioned all these teams. The Guardians, they don't even have a tenth of the talent the Yankees do. But they've got a better manager, and they know how to run the bases. They have fundamentals. They have a plan, and they have some good pitching. They have a great closer, right? And that's why they've got the same record, if not better record than the Yankees now, right? So that's why I don't think this Yankee team is going to do shit in October, because they can't do the fundamentals, the very basics. If they can't field the position, you can't run the bases, you can't hit runners in scoring position, you can't hit lefties, what chance do you have?
I don't know if they're a World Series contender. I also can't say they're not a World Series contender. I do think they have the talent. I think they have the pitching. If everything goes right in October, they can make a World Series run. That's what the same can be said about any team that makes it to the postseason. But right now, it's clear as day that this team needs a better manager at the helm. Because like you just said, Cleveland's talent level doesn't match ours. It's not to put them down, but we probably have more talent than we. We have two of the best hitters, if not the two best hitters in the entire sport. They got a good lineup. They got a scrappy lineup. They got an annoyingly good lineup. It's better, but they don't have the talent that we do. The Red Sox certainly don't have the talent that we do, yet they beat the Mets do not have the talent that we do, and they kick the living shit out of us. So what does that tell you? A former Yankee coach is managing the Mets. I mean, look at Francona. Is he still the manager in Cleveland? I don't even freaking know anymore. It's just annoying watching.
Cleveland's manager is Stephen Vogt.
Yeah, that's right. And look,
Francona retired. Yeah.
You would think he was still there with the way that team is running right now. So it's frustrating because there's a team that we have that should be good enough to win, and yet we're getting these excuses from the manager. They're still trying to, they're still trying to work through things with a 36-year-old washed-up player with foot injuries. They're still trying to platoon with their third-best hitter. They've turned their third-best hitter into a platoon guy. Now, I'm hoping that when we actually get Jazz back, that brings a little more thump to the lineup, but even Jazz was like, yeah, I think I'll be back within the 10 days, and Boone's like, sounds a bit optimistic. Like, how do you know what the player feels? You're not the player. Like, these are the things that we're talking about. It's really, really, really weird that every year we seemingly have a roster that's so talented and should be able to go far, and they just collapse in the most basic things. And it's because they don't want to get out of their own way. Gleyber Torres should have been gone years ago. DJ LeMahieu should be gone right now. I said this and I keep sounding like a broken record. But why are we sticking with players that other teams would let go? The Cubs just cut Hector Neris, who wasn't having the worst year of all time. He wasn't great necessarily, not for the money they paid him, but over his last 20 games or so, the dude had a below 3 ERA. He'd be one of the better pitchers in our bullpen, and the Cubs let him go for Jack Neely. Even the Cubs weren't even contending or we don't want to keep this guy if he's not going to help us. And yet the Yankees are like, we're 20 games over 500. Let's let DJ LeMahieu grind through this. Grind through what?
Right.
Quicksand? Come on. This is ridiculous. These are things that other teams don't do. The Astros were slumping, and they said, Jose Abreu, kick rocks. We're going to get rid of you. You're not producing. Sorry, got to let you go. Teams are letting these players go, and the Yankees don't want to do that. And it was brought up earlier, Michael Kopech was available at the deadline, and the Yankees didn't get another bullpen arm like that. He's got an ERA of 0 with the Dodgers. It's just, these are things that piss me off. It's we missed out on so much at the deadline. I get it, there were high prices, but the Yankees didn't even look to make improvements where they needed to, outside of Jazz. And I thought Leiter would have been better, but he's been terrible for whatever reason. De Los Santos was not even necessary to pick up, but that is what it is. It's just, these things frustrate us because you got a team that's 20 games over, one of the best records in baseball, and we're acting as if they're 20 games below because that's the way they're looking for a good 2.5, 3 months now.
It's not just that, but because we know that when this shit carries on into October,
it doesn't go well. Yeah,
I don't care about the record. I'm only worried about if you bring in a Juan Soto. I don't care about the regular season record. It's all about October. And we are doing nothing to help build this team around Juan Soto.
You're not going to win in October with a 2-man lineup. You're just
It's
not.
embarrassing. No. It's embarrassing. I want to pick up on LA's point here. Find it funny Yankee fans say, play the young guys. Let's see what we have in the future. But some Yankee fans will give up on these young guys in 2 weeks. Don't blame Yankee fans. The Yankees do that. All they've been doing is giving up on.
No. There were calls the other night on the fan to cut Volpe, that he's gone.
They trust Volpe, but you never see Peraza. You've not seen Dominguez. You've not seen these young guys. You've not given them a chance. Austin Wells are not giving him a chance. Trevino's back. That's fine. Verdugo, he's over 12. Doesn't matter. He's going to play every single day. We're not going to see Dominguez. Peraza, he got pinch hit after 2 at-bats. One of them was a base hit. He got pinch hit. They give up on these. They give up on these players. It's the Yankees that do it. The Yankees traded away Jack Neely before we even saw him to bring in this bum. So the Yankees are the ones that are giving up on the young talent.
No,
I'm very consistent in this.
There are guys calling to have Volpe cut. There are callers on the radio that Volpe cut.
I don't care about the callers. The callers are insane. I'm just talking about
Yankee fans.
Common sense, though. I'm talking about common sense decision making. The Yankees aren't making common sense decision making. Austin Wells is your future. Trevino isn't. Austin Wells should be playing the majority of the time. Right? Fact. Dominguez is your future. Verdugo isn't. Dominguez should be playing the majority of the time. We haven't seen Dominguez other than a situation which was a no-win situation for him.
It was such a stupid decision.
It was so stupid. Thank you, Rob. Please bring this up.
It made absolutely no sense. You're doing the kid no favors because if he sucked the way he did the other night, and call it what it is, it was one game, so we're not going to jump off a roof about it. He's not a bust after one game, but he didn't look good at all. He looked overmatched at the plate, and he didn't look necessarily good in the outfield. So now people are like, see, you should be patient and be calling this kid up because what if he struggles? But if he went 4 for 4 or even 2 for 4 with a couple of home runs, now you're like, but you're sending this kid down. Why isn't he here every day? It was a no-win situation for him. The Yankees don't treat prospects well when they get here. That's a fact. It was a no-win situation for Dominguez because he went right back to AAA last night and had a 2-hit performance or multi-hit performance. He's been doing that lately. He's been outstanding in AAA. Again, why isn't he here? Let him work through it. My whole defense of Anthony Volpe is he's 23 years old. He's not even 2 years into his career. He was never this world beater statistically in the minor leagues. He had one really good season in AA in 2022, but he was never Gunnar Henderson type numbers. He wasn't even Jackson Holiday type numbers. He was a good player in 2022 in AA, and he was given the keys to shortstop. They let him play every day. I love that. I want them to do that with the other players. That's my whole my defensive Volpe goes to Wells, and it goes to Cabrera, and it goes to Peraza. If you're going to do it with Volpe, do it with the others, and do it with Dominguez when he's eventually called up. We only saw him for 8 games last year. He looked really good in those 8 games. His next 8 games, he can look like shit. You're not going to learn anything about, not even after 2 years. You don't know anything about a player after 2 years. Because guess what? Know who looked really good after 2 years? Gary Sanchez. And what happened to him? You know who looked good after his first stint in the majors? Greg Bird. And what happened to him? So you're not going to learn anything about a player even after 2 years. Because look at Julio Rodriguez. He looked great, and this year he struggled. He is struggling this year. The entire offense in Seattle is struggling, and Julio Rodriguez is a big part of it. So you really have to give a player, especially one as young as Volpe, you really have to give him 3 years. And I know that sounds crazy, but who's to say that next year he can't be at least league average or above league average with plus defense? That's fine. He doesn't need to be Ellie De La Cruz. I would love for him to be. He doesn't need to be Gunnar Henderson. I would love for him to be. The list goes on and on. But he doesn't need to be these guys. You don't need to keep comparing him to the other shortstops. He doesn't need to be that. He can be an elite defender with a good bat. That's fine. But the expectations were through the roof for him. But I'm glad they're letting him play. My only issue is let the other ones play too. Because there's no reason Peraza should be sitting. There's no reason Wells. There's no reason Cabrera. And eventually Dominguez. They should not be sitting. And Dominguez should not be rotting in AAA. He doesn't need to be there anymore. Let them play. And don't bench them for DJ fucking LeMahieu. Like, these are things that no other team would do. And yet we're the $300 million payroll New York Yankees with 27 championships. Oh, we've got more than any other team in professional sports. And yet we're relying on a 36-year-old declining player with a foot injury to be our everyday first baseman. What's going to happen in a month when we get Rizzo back? We're going to have a concussed first baseman playing for us. Like, these are just things that don't make sense. I didn't even mention Ben Rice, what they did to him. He was here, immediately became a platoon player. It's the Yankees that don't trust. Now, I do agree with LI. There are some fans that go crazy with the expectations for the players. If they don't immediately shoot out of the gate and become the next Ken Griffey Jr., they're a bust. But that's not every fan. That's a decent majority of them that act like that, but whatever, don't care about them. They can say whatever they want to say. The fact is, if you're going to, Hal is the one that said, we're going to be relying on our system. Cashman's the one that said, our process is pretty effing good. Yet, when the kids get here or when they're ready to play, they don't play them. That's the issue with the New York Yankees. They don't prospect hug. They don't, because they trade away a lot of prospects. More than a lot of other teams do. But their issue is they don't play the guys when they're ready. That's what the Yankees' flaw is. They've built a very good farm system over the last few years. They've drafted exceptionally well. They've developed exceptionally well. But when the time comes for these players to get called up, they don't call them up and they don't play them enough. Other teams would get these kids up and play them every single day. The same thing they did with Volpe should be done with Peraza, Cabrera, Rice, and Wells.
Of course.
It's just why? Why didn't they give Neely a shot?
But the thing was that really pissed me off about that Dominguez decision was it was a no-win situation. It was a no-win situation for the guy. It was a no-win situation for us, frankly, because regardless of whether he went 4 for 4 with 4 home runs, he was getting sent down the next day. And he was plopped right in the middle of the order. What kind of narrative is that? So he was good enough to bat in the middle of the order against the best left-handed pitcher in baseball, but he's not good enough to play every day. What kind of sense does that make? That doesn't make any sense. That's just common sense. It doesn't make sense. And he put him in a no-win situation. That's not fair on the guy. That means that he had to be honest, those at bats, it looked like he was trying too hard because he knew that he was only here for one day and he had to impress. That's a really tough situation. And that brings me to the way they treat Peraza. Peraza had 2 at bats yesterday. The first out he made, he was out. He was pinch hit for. Well, you got a single first at bat, second at bat, he struck out. You never saw him again. But DJ LeMahieu can have a 48 WRC plus and a 167 batting average, and he gets every at bat. Verdugo is 0 for 12. He's 0 for 6 yesterday. He gets every at bat, right? But Peraza gets 2 at bats and he's launched because it's not just about giving the kids a chance. It's about not playing favorites, and that's what another thing that Boone and Cashman do. They have their favorites, and they have to just write it out with their favorites, whether you like it or not. So that's where things like Peraza doesn't get a chance. Oswaldo Cabrera is all over the place. They don't really have a plan for him, and we've not even seen anything from Ben Rice, who hit 3 home runs in one game not that long ago, and we've not seen him since. He's been forgotten about. DJ LeMahieu has a 167 batting average over his last 30 games, and we haven't seen Ben Rice. Ben Rice was hitting really well, but the Yankees had to Yankify him and basically just not use him. So he's just kind of sitting there. He's just collecting dust. So it's not just about Yankee fans giving up on guys. The Yankees give up on guys. You don't see them because to be honest, they have a pecking order. DJ LeMahieu is untouchable. Verdugo is untouchable. Torres is untouchable. All these guys are untouchable. And then it leaves very little room for these young guys to come through. Trevino's untouchable. So that's it. That's the situation we're in here. It's freaking frustrating, man. It really is, because they're not putting their best foot forward. To put the team, all I'm asking for is a meritocracy, some competition, healthy competition. That's a good thing. Healthy competition is a good thing. Meritocracy, healthy competition, and have guys playing their best positions, and play your best players and put them in the best position to succeed. That's how you can succeed with this team. There's enough here that you could form a decent team that might be able to win a World Series. But the way the Yankees make their decisions right now don't make sense, and they won't win a World Series doing this. They just won't.
No, the issue is, and it's exactly it. And for anybody that missed it, I know LI. I don't know if you were on the show or watched the afterwards. I had said I want my infield for the remainder of the year, from first to third, to be Wells behind the plate. I want Rice at first, Peraza at second, Volpe at short, and Cabrera at third.
Where's Chisholm?
That's what I want my infield to be.
All right, Josh Chisholm.
Where's Chisholm?
Well, Chisholm was, he's on the IL. I'm trying not,
You said for the rest of the year, so he's
coming
back.
Then I would have to amend that and say, Chisholm would be a third, and then figure maybe Cabrera's just a bench player to kind of give guys a day off.
Put Chisholm in left for all I fucking care. I'm sure he can play left. He's able to pick up third base pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Put him in left. Cabrera's a better third baseman than Chisholm probably is, so...
No, Chisholm's been excellent at third. He's been really, really good.
I have a lot of faith with him at third.
I'm saying Cabrera's best position is third.
Oh,
yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, if Jazz... Maybe put Judge in left and play Jazz in center, if that's the case. I'm sure Judge can play left just fine.
I'd be okay. I'd definitely be okay with that. But look, and just fall on the sword. If we're successful in the postseason, awesome. No complaints, not at all. If we're competitive, if we go into an off season and we show fight like we did in 2017, but just don't have the experience to get over that hurdle, I'm okay. I'm actually okay with that at this point. But the issue is, and it always comes down to, boom. We've said this over the last couple of years. Ever since Boone took over a team that was a game away from the World Series, and they have regressed every season. There's always a setback, a fallback, a player that just completely just loses his ability to play. And they plug in these veterans that are, held together with Band-Aids that get the everyday playing time, like like Donald was saying. We've been all saying, stop with the Band-Aids. Just put the team out there, cross your fingers, let them get the everyday experience, and hope it all comes together in October. Because, like I said before, and I stand by, I still think this team can make a World Series run. I do think that, because the rest of the league, American and national, have just as many flaws as the Yankees do. The issue that the Yankees have is their leadership.
Yes.
It's the manager.
Big flaw.
That's our biggest flaw. That is what's going to keep us from winning the World Series. But fuck, we can get to it. Absolutely, we can.
It's true. They can, but they need to make decisions.
But you're going to put, like, say, baseball's wet dream, Yankees, Dodgers. You think Boone's going to manage Dave Roberts? I mean, come on now.
No, hold on. He might, because Dave Roberts has some flaws. You talk to a lot of Dodgers fans. I don't think they're too fond of him, because that team should be running away with the West, and they're not. So the Padres are right back in it.
They should be running away with this.
They should be running away with the best record. They should be a 100-win team like today, if we're being perfectly honest. When you put $1 billion into your roster, you should be running away with it. They're not. So I don't know if that's true necessarily. He didn't really outmanage us in that series, but we didn't have Soto. True. I mean, one of that first game was very winnable. The second game they kicked the shit out of us, but then we beat them the third game. So, and that was without Juan Soto. I wouldn't go that far. But you've now used Wet Dream and back shots in the last couple of weeks, Tat. So I don't know what's going on with you.
Well, moving on.
All right,
here's the problem, though. Here's the problem, right? You're talking about, you're okay if you're giving these kids a shot and just to write it out. Here's the thing, though. We've got Juan Soto until the end of October, right? Guaranteed. That's it. So the Yankees have mixed the narrative. Like, if you're going to bring in a Juan Soto on a walk year, you had to have a team that's capable of going all the way. And you're going to have to make some tough decisions. That means you're going to have to probably make a trade that you're not comfortable making in order to bring in someone that can actually help to win that World Series. They didn't do enough at the deadline. That's why we're at this situation. Had Brian Cashman pushed that boat out a little farther and made a deal for a serious reliever, not just a dude from the NL Central, not a dude called De Los Santos with a 14 ERA, had he actually brought in a serious reliever that can provide quality innings late and probably as a closer, this Yankee team would be fine. Even with all these problems that I've listed. It's the bullpen that's been a massive problem. And that's what it is. And it was almost like they made the Jazz Chisholm deal and went to bed. That should have been the starter, right? We brought in Jazz Chisholm. We've sorted out the offense. Now we need to bring in some serious pitching. And they didn't do it. And now we're in a tough spot now because Luis Gil, he's starting to wear down a little bit. He's starting to wear down a little bit. His back's starting to act up and he's tired and he's been overused, right? But who else are we going to turn to? We don't have anyone else. You want Nestor Cortez? He's had one great outing over the last 10, 15 outings. He's not been good. We're asking a lot. Our rotation is now stretched and our bullpen is now stretched. That's the problem, man. Brian Cashman did not do enough. He had to. He had to do something he wasn't comfortable doing if you're gonna help out Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. And I used this point in the previous podcast, right? Even if we do extend Juan Soto for the next 12 years, right? You aren't guaranteed what we're seeing right now. What we're doing right now is unbelievable and historic, and you have to ride that train. Aaron Judge is on course for hitting 60 home runs. Again, it's insane. He's having almost a better year than he did when he hit 62, right? You got to take advantage of that. Juan Soto has already had his career year already, and he's in August. He's going to easily clear 40 home runs this year, easy, in his sleep. So you're getting about 100 home runs combined between Soto and Aaron Judge this year. This is your year to go and do it. You're guaranteed that. You're guaranteed Garrett Cole coming back and being his regular self. You don't know what's going to happen in a year's time. This is your time, and the Yankees keep doing this. They're like, oh, we'll just do a little bit of half of this, but we're kind of doing a little bit of half of that as well. If you're going to bring in a Juan Soto on a walk here, you're going to have to make some tough decisions. Push that boat out a little bit further, but he didn't do it. And now we're staring at a tough spot where Juan Soto is sitting in the bullpen looking fucking pissed off. He's sitting in the dugout looking pissed off because this is the slop that's around him. If you're going to bring in a Juan Soto, you better push that boat farther. He didn't do it.
Well, that brings up the other issue. What's what are we going to find out about the health of Heel? Is he going to with his back? He had to come out in the fourth inning yesterday. So Schmidt's too far away to get. You can't bring him up just yet. He's not ready. Do you bring Warren back up and give Warren his what is the for the next 2 weeks? What does your rotation look like? Did they push Heel 2 starts too many? With his innings rather than putting him in the bullpen. There's so much to break down. Maybe we could go into a whole other hour on this whole pitching thing now with Heel. But where do we see this rotation sitting right now? Who's taking whose spot?
I don't think Heel was ever going to be part of the playoff rotation anyway. He was probably going to be using the bullpen because he has been way over the limit probably at this point. He's tired, and it's not surprising he got hurt. It sucks, but
they pushed him.
Maybe, but he's not used to throwing this many innings. They probably should have managed his pitch counts a little bit more in the middle of the year, but no, enough with this closer stuff. No, he's shown he was a Cy Young candidate for like a good 2 months. He was an all-star candidate for a good 2 months. He is pretty much, up until like his last 2 starts, was right there in the Rookie of the Year conversation. You're not taking that out of the rotation, especially with so many question marks going into next year. Where's Nestor going to be? Is Clark Schmidt going to be healthy enough for a full season? Is Rodon going to be good? Do we keep Stroman next year? There's a lot of question marks. Luis Heel ain't going to the bullpen next year. He's not the future closer. Enough of that. We went through an entire offseason, and we're still going through it in August. He's not going to be the closer. They need to figure it out with Heel. If he needs to sit for the rest of the year, fine. You know what? At this point, shut him down if that's what it takes. Because we will get Schmidt back. Poteet's on the comeback trail. He looked really good last night in 2 innings. I think Warren can be okay in a spot start. Our playoff rotation is obviously Cole, Rodon, Stroman, Schmidt. That's the 4. Heel is probably never going to be a part of it. He might have given you a couple of innings out of the bullpen. Nestor ain't starting in the postseason, nor she shouldn't. He better freaking not.
Don't even let him look at the postseason.
But you know what your pecking order is. I swear to God. That comment just about Trevor Bauer. No, we're not. The show's almost over. I'm not doing it. But yeah. Look, Nestor Cortez ain't part of the rotation. It's got to be Cole, Rodon, Stroman. They've got to be their best. If we're gonna win in October, it's gonna be on the arm of Cole and Rodon specifically. Yeah. They have to be that 1-2 punch that we're paying them to be, and then it's gonna be the back end of the bullpen. And that scares me because we don't have one. That terrifies me actually about October. Yeah. Because if we do, let's say we get 6 out of Rodon and we got like a 2-1 lead or something or 2-0, and we've got to hand it over to Canely, Weaver, or Leiter, and then fucking Holmes. Good luck. Hold your breath, hold on to your ass, because you might be in for a wild night, and you will be in for a wild night watching those guys. So.
Well, yeah, you can get to the 9th inning. We've already shown numerous times. We've already shown 10 times that we can get to the 9th inning. It's getting through the inning that Clay Holmes pitches is really the question. And watching back that interview with John Boy, bringing up the Clay Holmes stuff, there was a good point, and Tats touched on it. If you're going to have a ground ball pitcher, and yet the defense behind you, apart from Volpe, is below average, it's almost contradictory, right? And Aaron Boone was like, oh yeah, but we're just trying to find the right alignment just so that we can make sure that no ball is going to get through those holes when Clay Holmes is there. How about you cut up the middle, man? And how about you have a strikeout pitcher in the ninth inning? I can name you one, Cousins. His slider strikeout rate is fantastic. If you look at if you look at Cousins' numbers in high leverage situations, they're fantastic. And you just saw that yesterday. He was amazing in those two innings. With that dumb rule with the ghost runner and all that shit. He was constantly had runners in scoring position. He didn't allow any contact. Thus, he helped get the Yankees to that next inning. Right? You can't have Clay Holmes in these scenarios when you got runners on base, runners in scoring position, because he will induce contact. There will be contact. There will be some that are going to go in the gap. If you look at his numbers, his sinker, I think the batting average on his sinker right now is 370. Right? So stop the nonsense with this that he can be a closer. That's his best pitch or his second best pitch. Right? And opponents have a batting average of about 370 with his sinker this year. You can't have that as your closer. Cousins can give you strikeouts. That's what you need in these scenarios. Now, is he their closer? I don't know, but he's an option. They should consider it because he's shown that he can do it. And I saw that yesterday. He's more than capable. I think if the Yankees are going to do anything in October, they need to move off of their obsession with playing favorites. Get Clay Holmes in his best position to succeed, which is the 8th inning. And then your 9th inning, you need a strikeout pitcher. You need someone that can strike guys out, that can help this team. Cousins is one. I would think Hamilton is the other. Those are two guys off the top of my head that could probably do the job.
No, and
would you disagree, Rob? Tats, do you disagree? Do you agree? What would you
no, I look. As long as he's on the only times Holmes is effective is if it's tied or we're behind, where he's coming in just to get some work. Those seems to be the only innings he gets through cleanly. If we're winning, I don't want him even. I don't want him near the mound because it's not going to look good. And I don't, and nosebleed, I say this with love. I don't care about his average K rate. It's above average. I mean, it's we want to scream about, that Boone and the Yankees need to put the book down and stop with all the over analyzing everything. It's we can see it with our eyes. He may get a strikeout or two. But as soon as you get to on the third batter, you get to a 2-strike count, he's going to blow it. How many times have we seen that? 1 strike away, we lose the game.
So, Tess, who would your closer suggestion be?
I would go by committee. I really would at this point. Stop plugging whoever the hell in. Whether I actually really want to rely on Cousins and Weaver and just see what they got. See how they handle it. It might cost us a game or two, but if it's a better option than seeing them just keep pushing Holmes out there.
But that's the issue right there. You just said they could blow a game or two, and we'd be screaming about, well, nobody can close. You can't go by committee. You really can't. You got to pick somebody, and right now they're picking Clay Holmes, and there's nothing we can fucking do about it. Unfortunately, it should be Cousins. If we're going by who's the best option right now, it would be Cousins.
Yeah, that's why.
I don't like the whole committee thing because I didn't like it a couple of years ago when they said it, but we were spoiled for so many years with Mo, and then that 1 year of Soriano, and then it was D-Rob, and then it was the 3-headed monster of Betances, Miller, and Chapman. We were spoiled. We don't have that. We don't have that lockdown in the 9th inning anymore. Clay Holmes, his sinker should be his best pitch, but it's not. It's when he's getting the least amount of whiffs on and least amount, like you said, 350 batting average. His sweeper's been really good. Yep. Maybe you should try throwing that more with 2 strikes. That's where he gets the swing and miss is on that sweeper. So maybe go with that. I'm just terrified of him in a 1-run game in October.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
I'm terrified.
That's the thing. And Consigliere, appreciate you with the $9.99 super sticker.
Oh
Appreciate
man,
the support. Thanks for helping keep the lights on. No, look, it's not that. That's the reason why I want to make a change. If we have to, give Weaver or Cousins a ninth inning audition for a series, it can't be any worse than just keep pushing Holmes out there because that's what we're so beaten up about it. We're just content, not that we're content, but we know he's going to come out in the ninth, so we just take it. But why? Why
well,
not
the
give us
definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
exactly?
And that's what Aaron Boone does with this closer scenario. I think Clay Holmes has got the perfect makeup as a seventh or eighth inning guy. I think he's perfect in that spot. He just doesn't really show that he's got the mental ability to get out of really tough jams in the ninth inning. He doesn't. I already saw
it is a mental aspect. Yes,
I already saw it from Cousins yesterday. They had so much traffic on, none of it was his fault, and he still got out of it perfectly.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to have somebody that can induce strikeouts, lots of strikeouts. Uh, if you're going to have this guy that's going to bring in base runners, he had like 40 base runners over his last 28 innings. It's asking a lot on our defense, and our defense isn't good. You saw Boone's face when John Boy told him that Torres is the worst second base metric in the league. His face is dropped of just pure fury. But that's what you're asking. Like DJ LeMahieu can't play anymore. He's a freaking bomb. And you got Torres, who's not a good second baseman anymore. Third base, we're waiting on Chapman. We don't have a third baseman. We never had a third baseman prior to Chapman. And shortstop is Volpe. That's it. So I mean, they need
Chapman?
to. What?
You mean Chisholm?
Chisholm. That's what I meant. Chisholm. And so when you should be using Peraza more. If you're gonna have a Clay Holmes scenario, you need your best defenders out there. So Peraza should be playing. But he got pinch hit after 2 at bats. Even though he's one of your best defenders, make that make sense.
No, their best defense would be probably at this rate Rice, Peraza, Volpe, Cabrera. It's probably your best defense, unless Rizzo comes back and he's Superman for a month. But I don't know when if that's going to happen. Yeah, that's your best defense right now until Jazz is back, and then you can have Cabrera play first for all I care. But making that decision to take Peraza out made no sense, zero sense, in the slightest. It
just means he's
bothered
favorite.
me. Exactly. How can you say that you want to have the best defense out there, but you take at least analytically, if you're going by his minor league stuff, he's your best defender, but he's at least second best because Volpe has been really damn good at shortstop this year. I will give him that. The bat, not so much. But you're taking Peraza out, who has shown he can play a very good third base and a very good second base at the major league level, but you're taking him out, but you're leaving in Gleyber Torres and DJ LeMahieu, who have both been terrible. Make it make sense, because it doesn't.
And I know Joel brought up Tonkin too for the community conversation.
Yeah.
The reason I left Tonkin out is because yes, he's been good, but he's kind of been struggling a little bit of late, where I just don't have the same confidence in him like I would with a Weaver or Cousins.
But
Tonkin can easily get back into that confidence level.
They gotta make it. There's gonna be a roster crunch soon. He could be on the chopping block. Meza should be gone today. Don't know what the hell they're doing with him still here. Both him and Hill could be gone, if we're being honest. If they put Luis Hill on the IL, they can call somebody up for like 4 days until his next start, and it'll probably be Warren. But yeah, there's going to be a crunch with Hamilton coming back, with Poteet coming back, eventually Schmidt.
Yeah.
F. Ross.
Here's what I'm concerned about, because this is starting to remind me massively of the 2022 end of the season. And it could very well be 2022 October. Remember when we had an open tryout at shortstop? Now, that won't happen this time, but you could have, as you say, there's a roster crunch. You could be having all kinds of crazy rotations going on in left field. You could probably be seeing Verdugo and Dominguez, and it's not going to make any sense. And we're going to be screaming in this podcast going, why are we not giving Dominguez a shot? Why is Verdugo facing lefties when he bats 100? you're going to be seeing that shit. Because you will, because we're going to get to this roster crunch, and Aaron Boone plays his favorites, and he doesn't make logical decisions. So there's going to be open tryouts in certain spots. Probably the bullpen, probably rotating. Hey, probably outfield. You know what I'm saying? Probably third base as well. Jazz Chisholm's going to be playing everywhere. You know it, right? Perez will get one at bat, and he'll get subbed out, and because he has to have DJ LeMahieu in there. You know what I'm saying? There is going to be a roster crunch, and Aaron Boone doesn't know how to manage these things because we already saw it in the 2022 October. He had IKF and Peraza and Oswaldo Cabrera basically rotating at shortstop in October. I have never seen that before, and imagine doing that in October. It's the stupidest thing ever, but he's going to do something similar. That's October, I guarantee. Would any of you guys disagree?
No, just like last year when they threw Peraza in the lineup in the postseason, makes a phenomenal play at short.
You mean 2 years ago because they missed?
Was that 2 years ago? Makes a phenomenal. That's right. They didn't even make it last year. That's how bad they were. But he makes a phenomenal play, and then you never see him in the lineup again.
Right.
And I remember, because you're a big Peraza guy. I remember we pretty much sat back that whole next show and you talked until you had no voice.
I was furious. I just thought it was so stupid. It was stupid.
But they had
on his ass.
That's why I'd rather run with the kids. Just let them. Just run with it. I've gotten to that point since with Boone's tenure. I'm tired of going backwards because of the reliance on the veterans. How about we rely on the youth and see what happens? It worked for the Yankees in 2017. I'd like to take the gamble to see if lightning will strike twice. Actually, for the third time because of the dynasty years, where they relied on the farm to come up and start taking over. Look what that got us. We were so close. We mismanaged the managing, which is why 2017 seems like a distant freaking memory. We have more memories of the dynasty than we do that 2017 run.
Right.
Because it just completely fell off the map. Why? Incompetence. Incompetent managing. And that's all what is given us.
Incompetent management.
But that is going to wrap things up for us. We will be back on Friday with Donald's Awards, the breakdown, hopefully some updates on Heel's health and others that are on the IL. So we will try to give you all your favorite takes and opinions, and always enjoy interacting with everybody. But that is, like I said, going to wrap this up for the Pitch Track Chronicles. This is where fans become family. And as I always like to say, hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner, with those pinch out your pride and play on.